Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how to solve another systems of equations just to help give you some more practice and just so you have another video to reference as well. So take a look. We want to solve the linear system of equations for 2x minus y equals -1 and y equals 5x minus 5. When we solve this graphing today, remember, in order to find the solution is where the lines intersect. And that should say solution. So again, we're looking for the point where the lines intersect. So let's go ahead and get started. So I broke it down in different steps for you today. So the first thing that I want us to focus on is I want us to graph the linear equation 2x minus y equals -1. If you remember back in the beginning when we started graphing linear equations, they always looked like y equals mx plus b. Right? That's the easy way to graph. Remember, that's with your rise and your run and your y-intercept. Except, does our equation look like that? Does our equation have just y alone? No, there's 2x and there's negative sign over there. So there's one other way we talked about linear equations that we've been graphing. This equation we would say is in standard form. In standard form, again, looks like ax plus by equals c. When we have an equation in standard form, we're going to graph it using the intercepts. So I'm going to go through and refresh you on how to graph with intercepts. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my x equal to 0. So I'm going to rewrite my equation. And now instead of writing x, I'm going to plug 0 in its place. So I have 2 times x, which is 0, minus y equals -1. Notice how today when I showed multiplication, I put that 0 in parentheses. And remember, parentheses also means multiplication. So now I'm going to multiply 2 times 0, which is 0. I'm going to bring down minus y equals -1. Something a lot of you guys forgot yesterday, when you canceled out that 0 and you rewrote it as y equals 1, I can't tell you how many of you forgot to bring down that negative sign. That negative sign does matter, so you have to bring it down. So now I'm left with -y. That's not just -y. What number's in front of that y if there's no number there? That's -1y. -1y doesn't mean that y is alone. Remember, -1's attached to y with multiplication. We have to undo that multiplication with division. So I'm going to divide each side by -1. My -1's cancel, and that was the whole point. And I'm left with y equals -1 divided by -1 gives me 1. So another key part that you have to do after this, you have to use the information given. My y is equal to 1 and my x is equal to 0. I have to write this as an ordered pair. Remember, ordered pairs are xy. So I need to put my x value first, which is 0, and my y value is 1. Go ahead and plot this point, 0, 1, on your graph. So it would look 0, 1 right here. Now let's go ahead. We used x equals 0. Now we have to do the same thing, but we have to do it now with y equals 0. So now I'm going to have y equals 0. So now I'm going to rewrite my equation again. 2x minus y equals -1. And now when I rewrite it, instead of writing y, I'm going to plug in 0. So I have 2x minus y, which is 0, equals -1. So now that minus 0 crosses out, and I'm left with 2x equals -1. I need to get x alone, so I'm going to divide each side by 2. And I get x equals -1/2. negative 1/2 is a decimal, I could also say x is equal to negative 0.5. So again, I still have to write my ordered pair, x, y. My x value we said was negative 0.5, and my y value is 0. So now on your graph, go ahead and graph negative 0.50. So I have to go to my x-axis at negative 0.50. Make sure you draw your line going through your entire graph. Again, make sure it has arrows on both ends. And make sure you label it with your equation, because when we go ahead and graph our next equation, we want to be able to tell which one is which. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Arrows and label. 2x minus y equals negative 1. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at our next equation, which is y equals 5x minus 5. So remember before when we always say a line should look like y equals mx plus b. That's the easy way to graph. My equation is set y equals, so now I can go ahead and graph using what I know about this equation. I know my slope, which is my rise over run, is labeled with what letter? It's labeled with m. So what number is in place of my m? 5. Remember, to make 5 a whole number, a fraction, I just put it over 1. Now I know that my y-intercept, again, if it's your y-intercept, it should hit your y-axis. My y-intercept is labeled at my b, and my y-intercept for this one is negative 5. So now I'm going to go ahead and graph my y-intercept and use my slope to create my line. And again, we're going to do this on the same graph that we graphed our equation, 2x minus y equals negative 1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with my y-intercept. My y-intercept is negative 5. So I'm starting on my y-axis at negative 5. From here, I'm going to use my slope, so I'm going to go up 5, and then I'm going to run 1. When you run, take a look at my y-axis this time. My y-axis isn't going up by 1. It's going up by 0.5 each time. So make sure when you run, you need to run to the number 1, not just over 1. So I'm going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need to go over 1. So my next point would be at 1, 0. Again, I can make another point from here. I can go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need to go over 1. So my next point would be at 2, 5. You probably already noticed that this line y equals 5x minus 5 has intersected with our line from before. Make sure before you move on, make sure you go ahead, connect your points to draw that linear equation. Make sure you put arrows on the end. And make sure you label it with your equation. Y equals 5x minus 5. One thing also that I want you to do, I would like you to label your ordered pair on your graph where the two lines intersect. So that ordered pair would be at 2, 5. So now you're on to your last question. You want to know what is the solution of the system. Again, the solution is where the lines intersect. My solution is 2, 5. So now that you're done, go ahead and flip your paper to the back and complete number 2 on your own. Make sure you can use your notes that you just did, or you can come back and look through the video if you're confused on how to do something. be sure that when you're done, you complete your Google form to make sure you get credit for today.